for some reason, I can't tell you why, I just kept making one every couple of days. Like once you start, it's like you've planted this seed, and it's like, well, I gotta water it now.
Yeah,
it's
you gotta
like,
keep feeding it.
I can't kill it. I gotta. Okay, well, I already made it. Let me just do another one and another one, and another one. And some of my first videos ended up getting a lot of traction somehow. I don't remember how, but just I do clearly remember just the small positive response and feedback kept me going.
Purpose in the Youth Podcast. Welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth Podcast with your favorite bearded man, the one, the only Bobbbaaaay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth Podcast with your favorite bearded man, the one, the only Bobbbaaaay. Today on the podcast, Justin Odisho. How we doing, brother?
I'm doing excellent.
You feel
I love
good?
The energy here, yeah.
Always. I've realized that it is not something that everybody's just born with. I don't know what it is, but I just have this button in me, and at any moment in time, I kind of just hit it, and I'm just like, yo, let's go. Who's ready to party? Where are we going? And it comes out of me.
So have you always had that intro, or have you had to work on it? Because I have a funny intro too.
Nah, I don't even remember when I first started. I don't think I was like going into it like that. I think I would just say, "Welcome to the Purpose in the Podcast. Today we have blah blah blah," and I would say this crazy long intro, and it was like 2 minutes long, and then they finally say something. But no, I don't know. It weirdly just kind of happened, and then I was like, "That's the intro," and I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, a lot of people probably don't even realize because I've made like videos over and over and over. So at one point I had to sit down and think. I used to say like, "What's up, guys?" or "Hey, everyone," or whatever. Then I'm like, okay, well, what if there's girls listening? I can't say "What's up, guys."
This is kind of awkward.
So then I was like, what would I say if I was in front of like if I was giving a speech in front of like a real crowd of people?
Yeah.
And keep it mature, but also myself, I'd be like, I'd probably just say hi or hello, everyone.
Yeah.
And so now it's turned into like a meme on my channel.
You know what I always do? I always address people as guys. Whenever I'm posting something, I always say like guys and gals.
I do it
it's
too.
Just naturally because I don't want to offend somebody.
Oh, guys and gals.
Guys and gals. I always say that. I don't want to say, oh, thanks, guys, for the love.
Yeah.
And then there's that one girl that's like, I'm not a guy.
I do have a 20% female demographic.
You wanna show love to the females out there. We show love to them out there. You've been making YouTube content for over 7 years now.
Has it been 7 years?
Pretty much. I mean, 2011 was when you first kind of uploaded. So I mean, we're at
on
2018.
this channel. Actually, I have videos as old as 2007.
Oh wow! So
not on this channel.
I didn't even get into those. If you had to go back to the person that was starting off with these YouTube videos uploading, what's the one piece of advice you would give to yourself now, having as much knowledge as you have now today?
You can make a living out of what you enjoy doing. It doesn't have to be like imaginary side fun and then what am I going to do over here for serious work. That's the number one thing I had to flip the switch on. That it was the confidence that you could actually follow through and make this kind of happen. Yeah, well, what it was is obviously 10 years ago I was like 16,
young buck,
15, 16.
Yeah.
And so it was like, yeah, I'm just doing this stuff for fun on the computer. But then like as I'm getting older, once you're like 16 to 18 to 21 to 22, you're graduating college, you start to think, okay, what am I going to do for a career? What am I going to do for a living? How to make money? And for some reason, nobody ever told me you can do this. Like, look at this.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I just it never even crossed my mind that like all this stuff I was doing all day for fun, like playing with these softwares and making videos and graphics.
Yeah.
It never crossed my mind. Nobody told me that could be your path. I always thought like, okay, I got to get my IT degree and maybe I'll work at like a mortgage company or something. You know?
It also was very early on, even in those years, because people were starting to make money off of YouTube and all these other content platforms, but it isn't like the conversation that it is today. Whereas now it's like I see somebody doing something creative and I instantly think, how could they make money? Oh, they could do it on YouTube. Oh, they could do it through Instagram. Oh, they could do it through this platform. So I feel like even when you were starting off, you were in that era of people weren't just making money doing it naturally, just so easily.
I call it the forums era.
The forums. Oh, we're gonna get into that. I know. I remember those days, dude. I remember those days heavily.
But yeah, you're right. YouTube started in what, like 2005, 2006.
I don't even know when it started.
It started around there, like 2004, 5, 6, something like that.
Yeah.
And so I started uploading videos around 2007 just for fun. But there was the partner program or whatever was like invitation only, and you had to be like a top creator. Yeah. So it was just
very
it was
tight.
Not even in my view, and I just really enjoyed seeing if I could get clicks on a video, or like seeing. Of course. It was fun.
Want to jack it up? Let's get these numbers rolling.
It's just fun, you know. I could but like I did not start YouTube thinking I could make money. Yeah. I just naturally started, and then I think around a year after I started this channel, they opened the AdSense program. Mm-hmm. They changed it from invitation only to like open beta for everyone, and that's around 2011 when they started to shift. I remember I was working hard because I was like, maybe one day I'll be able to like join that AdSense thing, and then they opened it to everyone, and I was like, okay,
I'm getting in there. I'm in there.
I was like, it was bittersweet because I was like, okay, well now everyone can just do it. Yeah. But then I got in there, and you see a lot of people like complaining now, like recently with like the demonetization stuff. I'm like, I mean,
what are you gonna do?
It used to not even be available for everyone.
Sometimes when I see people complaining like that, you have to understand too. It's the market. And the one thing I always got from Gary Vee, the market is the market. So you could sit there and complain about it all day long, but if that's the way they're going to shift things, you got to adjust and make sure you have content on other platforms and don't solely focus on just YouTube. But before, I want to go back a little bit more too, because I want to set this up. I want to really get to hear the young Justin story. Yeah, you grew up in, were you actually in Detroit, Michigan? Was it a suburb of Detroit?
So I was in actual Detroit, Michigan. Like, you know the movie 8 Mile?
Never heard of it.
Of course. We lived on 7 Mile.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So like one lower than that. Okay. I grew up there for like until I was in 2nd grade or something, and then moved to a more suburb area in like the greater Detroit area. Yeah. And then I went to college in this place called Rochester Hills. Yep. And just kind of like been in that area, but it's like 30-40 minutes from downtown Detroit, so we were always down there on the weekends and stuff.
Were you always a creative person as a kid? Like, were you into art? I
would say so, actually. Yeah. It's funny that you asked that, because I feel like, I don't know if I ever say it, but yeah, like definitely art classes and like drawing. I have this whole folder full of drawings. You know what like a Boys and Girls Club is?
Yeah, of course. Okay. We got them on the East Coast.
They have them on the West Coast?
Oh, I'm from the East. I'm from
I know.
Yeah, but out here, I'm pretty sure they do have them. Kirk. Yep, we got a thumbs up from Kirk. They do have them.
It's I remember one time like winning some like drawing competition, and I got like free tokens or something.
Let's go.
At the Boys and Girls Club. I have this whole folder full of like drawings I would do, like characters, and I low-key invented Fortnite before Fortnite came out.
Oh my god. You were the one?
I'll have to show you I'll have to send them to you. Yeah, I low-key have this folder full of all these drawings and stuff. And just, I liked art class. I wouldn't say I was like an artist, but I definitely...
You enjoyed those classes.
I can reflect back and see like I was always drawing or doing stuff.
Speaking of Fortnite, kind of dancing along those lines, you played Halo.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah,
I went through that. I went through that phase too, so I love that. I never got into the montages. I never was even close to being that good to be in them. But one of my homies, shout out to Zach Mitchell, if you see this, he like pulled me onto that wave. He was nasty at Halo too. Was big into like montages. Yeah. Was that your first? Because you made the montages as well.
I wasn't in them.
You weren't in them, but you were editing them.
Yeah, I was editing them. That was my first experience. Like,
that's what I was going to. Yeah. So was that your first time putting videos together?
Yeah. So.
And were you good at Halo at all?
I was good. I was good. I swear. I always say like, if this goes back to what I said at the beginning of the podcast, if someone would have told me like you could become a professional esports player,
I would have went all in.
I could have been like, I'm not going to college. I'm playing Halo. Yeah. And actually, if you look at all these Halo players now, I think like Nade Shot on YouTube.
I think I know the
I don't
name.
know. He has like
I don't
3
really pay
million
too much.
subscribers. I feel like he was in that same community, except he just stuck with it. But yeah, I went on a tangent. I forgot what I was talking about.
Like creating the montages.
Oh yeah. Oh, so my brother for some reason had downloaded Photoshop or something. My older brother, he's like a year and a half.
How many
older.
brothers and sisters?
Just one
Just
older
one
brother.
older.
So like he would always do something. He would always pick up a new hobby, then I would pick it up after him. But then he would drop it in like a couple months, but I would just stick with it.
You stick with it, so you stay consistent.
So yeah, so he for some reason like got Photoshop and all this stuff. I don't remember why, if it was for a class he was doing in school or whatever. And we'd be hanging out in these forums, and on every forum there's like these graphics and video sections on the forum. And so I really can't remember how, but I just started like doing stuff in Photoshop and like doing stuff in After Effects and making just like little like swirly like lines that say my name and just like creating video projects. And then I was part of this like Halo 2 forum community thing.
Oh my God, those are such throwbacks.
Yeah, they had their own little graphic section.
Everybody had their own little
Everyone
banner.
had their banners under their name.
God.
Yeah, so like I had a lot. I made like hundreds of those little like banners and
Unreal.
signatures, and so I just kind of learned Photoshop that way. And
All on your own?
well, no, back at the day there were still tutorials and stuff, but they were not like how they are on YouTube now. Someone would write out like a full blog post on a forum.
Oh, okay.
And like be like how to use the pen tool, and it'd be like a step-by-step written explanation. And there was also some OG guys like Video Copilot, Andrew Kramer. He does like a lot of After Effects stuff. I remember his stuff's been around for a long time. And so there was resources, but definitely not as plentiful as they are now.
We have it it's so easy now. You just go on YouTube, type in how to do this, how to do that.
Yeah.
You could literally take up the engine motor of your car probably on a YouTube video. You know,
that's what my dad does.
So it's pretty amazing that's what the platform has become, because that was like when I was doing the research for this podcast, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, he's the one making all the tutorials, but how is he learning how to make all these stuff?
Yeah. There was like one other dude that was, well, I guess this is skipping ahead, but I mean, just the same way you could ask someone, how did you learn how to draw? It's like, it's kind of intuition in a way. Like you've seen TV shows, you've seen movies, so you kind of like know how to do like the cut to the beat already instinctively. It's just a matter of learning the software. And it's been so long now that it's hard for me to remember, but I do clearly remember using the resources available online and also just practicing. And, if I didn't know what the pen tool was, I'd search it up on Google or something and see what I could find. And there was tons of older style, like forum and like.
So at least it gave you some direction.
Yeah, there was
how-to steps laid out.
Yeah, there was people. It was like just in a different format. But
how would you describe who you were in high school?
Who was I in high school? I would stick to my 1 or 2 or 3 close friends, and I wasn't like the most popular kid in high school, but I don't know. I was always like, I just kind of stuck to myself, but I was also the funny kid.
Yeah.
I had different phases in high school.
Okay? I think we all have, dude.
Yeah.
We all went through it. I went through so many phases.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
Please, let's go through it.
So, elementary school, I was the man. And then junior high, I had braces and went through an awkward phase.
Yep.
And then that kind of lasted through like freshman, sophomore year.
Yeah.
And then like back around junior, senior year, I started to get
started to sprout a little bit.
Started to get a little more comfortable. Yeah, but I definitely wasn't always the coolest kid.
Yeah.
Sometimes it barely had anyone to sit with at lunch if like I was like A, B, C, D lunches.
Yep. Oh, I used to stress
like,
about.
I'll have
you're
like
at lunch 2. I'm at 3.
Yeah. So like I literally just have like, if my 1 or 2 buddies is like not in my lunch, I'm like, shit, I don't have nobody to sit with right now. Yeah. But there was like always tables and stuff. I'm Chaldean is my ethnicity. I don't know if you ever heard of it out here.
One more time.
Chaldean.
No.
It's like a Middle Eastern ethnicity.
What is your ethnicity? Like that solely, or what's your?
That's it. It's
that's
it.
Solely.
Full bred, purebred, as far as I know. I'm sure it's not pure.
Both in your parents too?
Yes. As far as I know, I'm sure there's like, I don't know. I've never done one of those DNA tests.
Yeah, I haven't either, but I'd love to just find out.
But anyways, yeah. So there's always like the tables of like, oh, all the Albanian kids sit here, all the Chaldean kids sit here.
That's how it was.
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, like they would just stick together, and I always just felt like I don't really want to sit with them just because we're the same ethnicity.
Yeah.
I don't really like.
Was this a public or private high school?
Public high school.
Public.
Yeah. But wasn't it like that with you? Like, oh, here's where all the
I mean,
this type of kids sit. And I was like, well, that's where I should sit, but I don't want to.
You know what's crazy? Man, it feels like forever ago.
It's funny that we're talking about high school stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I love because I think that sets up the majority of what we'll get into in the podcast later on is really hearing your kind of backstory. But like where I went to high school with all different types of people. Spanish, blacks, whites, Muslim, Russian, Ukrainian, Polish. It was very mixed, but it wasn't separated by like your ethnicity or anything like that. It was
you
more
didn't see like there was a Spanish table.
There definitely was here and there, but a lot of it too was just kind of like athletes, track team would be together.
Cliques.
Yeah, cliques. I was always kind of dipping my, trying to get to know everybody, and I for sure wasn't like the popular kid, but I made sure that I was always cool with as many people as I would come into contact with. But high school is always, when I think back on it, it's just that weird time.
Yeah,
Man,
I definitely didn't know myself fairly.
Yeah, none of us really know ourselves either. And there's always that transition of trying to find ourselves. And I used to wear all the prep clothes, polo and Lacoste, and I thought I was the man. And now I just wear like basic tees, and I'm pretty happy with it.
In high school, you think, or at least I did, I always felt like, oh well, everyone knows something that I don't, or like. Yeah. But then the older you get, you realize that nobody knows what they're doing.
Nobody knows what they're doing. At all.
For some reason, I always felt like everybody knew what they're doing but me. But then when you get older, you're like, oh, nobody actually knows what they're doing, so nobody can tell you anything. And you can do whatever you want, and you can be right too. Yeah,
nothing at all. What would you say is one of the best lessons your parents taught you as a kid?
I would just say, like, they always encouraged me to learn. I don't always necessarily agree with them that school is important, but like how immigrant parents are. They're like, school, you have to graduate.
Yeah.
But with that also came like my mom would always make sure I was reading and like, reading time, gave me books, making sure like my education was on point. So like a lesson would be like to be learning or like study. And I've learned as I get older, it's not necessarily like school, but that I've got the habit of reading. I don't know if it's natural or it's because like my mom forced me to read when I was younger, but thank you.
Yeah. So were they more open to, I want to try making these videos for the video games that I play? Okay, try. Or were they more?
No, it's not even a conversation. It was just like, I had the internet, and I was just like,
I'm doing it. Yeah, I got you.
I didn't be like, hey, I'm making these. They don't really know what YouTube is.
Yeah, they had no idea.
Or what this, but like, yeah, we had the internet, we had Xbox Live, and we were just some rascals.
Shout out to the Xbox games you'd buy, and they'd give you the 1 month.
Yeah,
the 1 month.
Shout out to
dude, those would come in clutch. Like a homie would be like, "Yo, bro, I'm on an Xbox Live. My parents won't give me their credit card." I'm like, "Yo, hold up, I got one in the video game." I give them the code.
Everyone had that one friend whose parents like weren't cool with it, and they just were like finessing as much free stuff as they could.
All day. I remember my parents wouldn't even. I was like, Mom, I will pay for this Xbox Live account monthly, and I'll hand you the money. And she's like, you're not doing it. I was like, what do you mean? I'm giving you the money. I worked for it. Just let me buy it.
Yeah, I guess, they weren't strict.
Yeah, then I had to start going to GameStop and just buy the cards myself. And I was like, all right, well, if I have to do it, I have to do it.
Yeah.
How did you end up at Oakland University? Because I know you had just mentioned during the pod that you went to a community college for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I know you ended up graduating from there. What happened there?
I started at a community college close just to save money, and then I was like, I'll do my credits here, and then by then I'll figure out what I want to do, and I'll major in it.
That's what you're supposed to do, right?
And then I finished all my general credits, and I still had no idea what was calling
Would you
me.
do like a 2 year or 1 year?
I think it took me like 2 years, 2 and a half.
Okay.
I don't remember. Just taking like general classes like statistics, which I failed like 3 times.
Not a fan of that class at all.
And I was always like, yes, I failed statistics 3 times, but that's because I never really studied in school. I just would kind of like go, and I'm naturally able to pass, but then there's certain classes like...
You couldn't pull that off.
Yeah, there's certain classes where like I learned like you got to sit down.
Were you a crammer like
Absolutely.
2 hours out?
Procrastinator, crammer, yeah, everything. So then I was like, okay, I don't want to graduate from a community college. I need to go to a university. And
still no idea of really what you wanted to go.
Yeah, no idea. But I was so stressed about what to major in. It was like the biggest stress in the world. Looking back on it, it's such a stupid stress.
I know.
But so I just went and I started majoring in biology because I'm like, biology is good. You'll be able to be like a dentist or a doctor or something. And I took 1 or 2 chemistry classes that were horrible. Yeah. And I switched.
Immediately.
I switched immediately, and I switched to my friends like, well, information technology is good. You can get like any job within the IT field. And I was like, that sounds right.
That's what I have to do.
That sounds right. And eventually I after enough Googling, I came to the conclusion that it doesn't really matter what you major in, as long as you just like major in something, you can get a job in anything. I used to take it too literally, and I realized it's not like that. But yeah, I just majored in that, and I just stuck through it with it all the way to the end.
But how did you end up picking Oakland University? You're out in the Midwest.
It was just like,
you didn't just stumble on the West Coast. Like why Oakland?
No, Oakland University is not California Oakland.
Oh,
it's Oakland, Michigan. There's Oakland is a common word.
That's a curveball for me.
I wasn't out here.
I immediately saw Oakland University.
I know a lot of people think that. Yeah, it's just a small like local university. Actually, who went there? I think like David Hassel went there.
Shout out to David Hassel. You hear this?
But it's a community college. It's not like MSU or Michigan University in Ann Arbor. I picked it because it was the one that was closer. Like if I went to Michigan University or University again, it would have been in Ann Arbor. So that like
I've been out there. It's like a whole different world.
It's a cool, but it's like a little bit longer of a commute. I'd probably have to like stay down there. And I don't know. I just kind of wasn't. But anyways, I just picked it because it was like a real university, but also convenient. Yeah. So. And really, not too much thought went into all this.
I was really confused. I was like, how does he end up on the West Coast? I'm sitting here like an idiot.
No.
Should have done a little bit more research, Bob.
No, you did.
Should have done a little bit more research.
No, so this is the curveball. So let's see how you handle under pressure.
Within that,
I've been there.
So you did that. It was information technology within 4 years.
I don't know. My whole college experience took like 6 years.
Okay. What do you think was the best lesson you learned outside the classroom within that 5-6 years?
Like that stemmed from,
could be that experience at the school, could be you.
I guess it just forces you to figure stuff out, because the closer and closer I got to graduation, when you graduate college, you think this is going to be the real world now. So the closer and closer I got to graduating, the more and more I felt like something behind me. Also, the fact that tuition's expensive.
Definitely.
It kind of lights a fire under you.
Definitely.
Like, how do you make money?
Oh, you want to spend another X amount of dollars? Come on back. They want you there for the 20-year program. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like they're open arms.
So just learning how to juggle like multiple things and earn money, and just, trying to figure out how to make your way through college. It's like, it's harder than the real world. I'm going to keep it honest. The real world is like, it's been easy. Not easy, but it's been chill.
It's great, dude. Look, it's Friday, 1 p.m. right now. We're sitting here just cooking up content. Like, dude, I'm down for this.
Yeah, but this college is like,
this time when I was in college 2 years ago, I was hungover, laying on my bed, not doing nothing.
Stress.
Just not.
I'm saying, they trick you. They make you think it's good.
You know what, though? Seriously, it is a crazy transition, because you get into college. Some people are going to figure it out. Some people don't really have a direction when they're graduating. And then you graduate and there's no more structure to your life. Because getting out of high school, it's like you go to college. Like that's supposed to be the next step. And then you graduate college, and then the next step is go get a job. And then some people get that job. Some people like myself say, nope, doing something different. So it is that tough kind of area. The YouTube world, let's start to get into some of the big pieces of topics of conversation today.
Big boys.
So I know, so you said in the beginning of the podcast you had made some videos like 2007, but then this YouTube channel that I really did, or we're focusing on, started in 2011. Mm-hmm. It was first Just This Good.
Yeah. Just a lyric of a song.
Love it.
Do you know the rapper Blue, BLU? He's from California.
Was he part of what's that group? Was he in a group at one point?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm thinking Sky Blue. No, never mind.
No, not Sky.
Yeah,
Blue.
no.
Anyways, literally just a song.
I probably should know who Blue is, and I don't. And
This tells you how little planning that I had. That this is
Amazing.
gonna be something.
but sometimes that's the best.
All my usernames were just like lyrics that are stuck in my head.
Incredible.
So there's this Blue song called "The Oath." It's from probably around 2011, and there's this line where he's like,
Yeah.
"Does it really feel this good when you're at the top, or am I just as good?" And I was like, "That's a catchy line," and it's just stuck in my head, so I just named my username that.
With the passwords kind of very similar, just listening to songs and just kind of going with that.
Kind of, but nobody try it now. It's not the password. Now I have this long thing.
You got this crazy one? Don't
I
say
have
it.
two-step verification, so it's just all right. Next topic. I don't want to encourage. I don't want to encourage any.
You had tweeted out though in the beginning you wanted to be the rap genius of video and photo creatives.
Did I tweet that?
Or at least you talked about it in the first podcast that you had released. That's how I got a lot of this information. You had tweeted something out about that, and that's where you want to take the YouTube channel. What was kind of inspiring you to start the channel?
Okay.
What was the inspiration?
I'll tell you what happened. So
Can't wait.
2007 to 2011, I had been just like uploading stuff and for fun, but I was just uploading whatever because I liked.
You walking the dog.
I liked making like I remember making a video like top 10 Drake verses or like something about Kanye West, and I was getting so annoyed because everything would get copyright flagged, and I was like, I can't.
Because you'd have their music in there, so they'd be like,
it would just everything would, and I couldn't create because everything was getting copyrighted, and so in 2011, after many experiments of channels, I was like, what can I do that's totally copyright free, original, nothing is gonna get taken down? And I looked around YouTube, and I was into Photoshop a lot at the time, making all these forum things, and I saw there was a little bit of a demand for Photoshop how-to education tutorials, and I was like, I know a little bit about Photoshop, and I could do it at least as decent as some of these people. And so I just made a Photoshop tutorial and put it up just to see. I don't really remember what was going through my head. And then I made another one, and then I made another one, and then I made another one, and I just kept making them for some reason.
And you enjoyed making them.
I don't remember what my thing was.
Because it takes us. Let me just say this: it takes a special type of person to be able to do that, to teach somebody to make those tutorial videos. Not everybody can just make a tutorial video. Like, you really have to know your shit to make it and make it effective. So that was like something I was really excited about this podcast, because I've had a bunch of YouTubers, but I've never had somebody that really started at that level. And that's a whole different world. A lot of it's been like the videographers, music video directors, but I've never had somebody that made the tutorials and killed it. So I had off to you.
Thank you. But remember how you're talking about like the Xbox Live codes?
Yes.
I do remember there was around before I started the channel, I had like stumbled upon this survey reward site where you could get like free video games or points and money. And for some reason, it was basically an affiliate program, how everyone does now.
Yep.
But I just didn't know it.
That was like the early stages.
I was entering some sort of weird pyramid affiliate program to try to get free Xbox games or controllers.
I think I remember that stuff.
Yeah.
If you did it, you could get something out of it.
And it was stupid because you'd spend like hundreds of hours and make like $2.
Yeah.
But then I read this blog post that said, like, if you sign other people up, if you refer other people, then they can make reward points for you, and you earn like 10% of it. It's basically affiliate commission.
Yeah.
So I became like a master affiliate commission person at that age, but I would do it not the right way. Like, I would make a good like top 10 Drake songs video, but then I'd be like, if you want free video games, click here.
Oh yeah, that's definitely what needs to happen.
And I woke up one day and I was like, what the heck? People signed up, and like I made a whole blog explaining how to like earn reward points and enter fake information into the survey. I said, just don't enter your real information. I was like a very savvy little 16-year-old or something, however old I was.
Yeah.
And eventually, I think the total I ever made from that website was like $50 or $60. I got like one free game or something, but it did teach me about affiliate. And then I guess that's maybe like 10% of the reason why I wanted to start a channel that I saw had more potential. I didn't consciously know it, but I'm like, okay, I keep getting copyrighted. This is obviously like a short term. That's the thing. It was obviously like a short term, quick little like try to get some quick views, try to get them click the link.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I need to do something more long term.
Yeah.
So it was
you're gonna own. That's gonna be fully Justin's content.
Yeah. So it wasn't consciously about making money or making a business, and I didn't even keep doing that program, but I just the major portion of it was that I just enjoyed creating and getting a response from it. That was just like a fun little
people would comment in like thanks for the video.
Yeah, just getting a comment or just getting a thumbs up or just seeing, oh, this got 1,000 views.
Yeah,
would be like enough for me. 1,000 views, that would be like enough for me to want to keep doing it. So that's when I started the Photoshop stuff. I was like, cool, I'm not getting copyrighted and I'm getting views. Yeah, it was like so fun.
Well, the views becomes like a currency, especially when you're in the beginning stages. So you're seeing the numbers go up, and even though it's not directly going into your pocket, it still gives you that feeling of like, damn, it's growing. I'm doing something right. I just need to keep doing this, and then.
But totally wasn't business minded or even. Like I said, the username was just like a throwaway. So it totally was an experiment, just so I could have a fun, just so I could try a fun place to upload original content for once. Yeah. Which was the Photoshop stuff.
Yeah. And within that first year, you end up getting around 2,000 subscribers.
Yeah, I think so.
Something around there.
I think the whole first year, I have old screenshots of YouTube on my computer somewhere. Like back when you could put your own custom background. And
see, I have no experience.
Man,
I was not.
YouTube has changed looks.
Oh yeah, you've seen it fully. I mean, I really didn't even. I started uploading in 2016, so you have so much more knowledge, and you probably have seen this baby grow into the monster that it is.
It's crazy now thinking how big it is. Like just small things. Like,
has it gotten better or worse, or a little mix?
I think it's gotten better. I mean, I like it. It's just such a bigger community. But it's crazy just seeing how the website layout has changed. Like, just how they used to have those little annotations on the screen, like the red and now everything's just a lot more. I know lots of people have problems with YouTube, and there's definitely tons of things that are wrong and you can work on. But just how far it's come from back in those days. If you just look at a screenshot, it looks like prehistoric. Yeah,
it's like this is not YouTube.
Yeah.
What do you think happened within that first year that kept you going? I mean, you hit like 2,000 subscribers. That's a great number. I mean, it's a starting point, but what did you learn? Why did you keep going from that point?
So I remember I made a tutorial and I would share it on these whatever forums I was going on.
So you're funneling them through your forums.
That's the thing as I tell these stories and I can look back on it, is I had some like natural instinct for online marketing, or like I just had some natural knack for communicating because I think I was part of the internet and these forums ever since I was little. So it's like a language that I naturally learned, like, oh, you can't just spam your link, you need to like do it this way. Like I knew how to finesse the forum, or like I knew how to like it's not the right word to use.
Nah, use finesse. Go.
I just knew how to speak the language, so I didn't. Just the same way I'd want to see someone share something. So I would be like just sharing them wherever was popular at the time. There was no Reddit. There was like these bodybuilding forums that had like random sections that were like the most popular place on the internet at the time. That's a whole nother story. I used to work at a gym and be really into working out. But anyways, I would make them. I would kind of like get a couple hundred views by like being good at using sections of the forum and sharing them, and it would go back and forth. But then for some reason, I can't tell you why, I just kept making one every couple of days. Like once you start, it's like you've planted this seed, and it's like, well, I gotta water it now.
You gotta keep feeding it.
I can't kill it. I already made it, let me just do another one and another one. And some of my first videos ended up getting a lot of traction somehow. I don't remember how, but I do clearly remember just the small positive response and feedback kept me going. Like, get 5 or 6 comments saying that was good. Can you explain? The first video I ever did was not even a tutorial, actually. Now I remember. It was just me photoshopping a tattoo on someone and just like playing it like a time lapse, like
just showing it.
No voice, no nothing. Just like a little background music and just like 2-minute fast forwarded thing of like.
But if somebody watched it, they could see how to do it.
No, it was not supposed to be educational at all. It was just supposed to be like cool, fake tattoo.
Oh,
And then I remember got a comment that was like, "Why don't you show how to do it next time or something?" And then I was like, "Okay." So then I did another one on how to do something, and then that got a lot better response.
Yeah.
And then I kept going.
You got to go back, find that video, find that person that commented saying you got to make a tutorial, and thank them. Be like, you inspired the wave. You inspired who Justin is today.
I have to see if it's there, but yeah, I unlisted the video, but it's there somewhere.
And you also there was a video that I had heard in your first podcast. You called it like the beginner's luck. There was one that kind of took off. Was that within the first year? Was that year 2?
I don't remember when it started. It definitely didn't get like 1 million views right away. But now it's sitting. It was like my second video I ever made. It was how to Photoshop like.
It was the second video you ever made.
No, on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It was the second video I ever posted on this 2011 YouTube channel.
Got you.
Mind you, I had been making videos since like 2006, 7.
Yep.
So I had tons of montages under my belt.
Yeah.
But I made this video that was like how to do a black and white and color effect. So like part of the picture is black and white, but the subject's in color. I didn't even do it the best way looking back on it now. I did it like a sloppy way. But that video, for some reason, is still sitting in like my top 10 most viewed videos on my channel. It's got like 600,000 views or something. And someone just commented on it like 2 days ago. They're like, "You need to get a better mic." And I'm like, "Thank you, but this is 6 years too late."
You need to get a better
because I was recording into the desktop.
Can we take a moment to appreciate YouTube comments? Because those are gold, bro. People in the YouTube world, sometimes me and my roommates, for just comedy purposes, we'll be watching a music video and we're like, let's go to the comments, and then we're sitting there dying for an hour.
Now people are funny.
Oh my god!
But yeah, I was like, you're about like 6 years too late. Yeah. But thank you.
I think that person's trying to be funny. It's like, or maybe
they weren't.
They were very serious, right? They're like, yeah,
serious.
Man, you got to get a new mic.
Yeah, because the audio.
Hit me up when you get a new mic.
The audio quality was bad on it.
Yeah.
I was literally just on my desktop computer and just recording into the built-in mic, and it was
epic. I listened to some of the early videos and you could tell because then I would like the next video like recent, and the quality is so good, but then I appreciate it more because I'm like, man, people, if they take the time, they can go back and realize this kid just started off just taking whatever he could make. You know, you didn't know anything, and that's the whole thing is you ended up starting based on what you had, and obviously now that's why today you have these great mics and a better setup. And
I've learned through trial and error. You can't just throw that auto equalize effect on there. That's not gonna just make it better.
It's
gonna sound crazy.
There was it was after 2 to 3 years you just stop.
Yeah.
You're in school, you're working, you didn't really have a plan, you were getting tired of it. You stop for a whole year, but then that's when you come back with the full name. You come with like the rebrand. You start showing that lovely face off on the screen. So it's like, it's really like a refresh button, because somebody that's watching your videos beforehand is just listening. Now they're seeing a face. I think that pulls people back in. What's that whole process like? What's the vision going into the new YouTube after this rebrand? How did you think that this was going to help take you to the next level?
I promise you, I thought as soon as I show my face on there, that's what's been missing.
The game changer, right?
I really thought like after this, like there's no reason I'm not going to shoot up past 100,000. And it was.
You got to grow the beard out more. Maybe they'll give you that love, man.
I've never grown it that long.
Come on.
But
beard gang.
I can't. It gets itchy after a little bit.
We'll talk about it later.
Anyways, so the rebrand, I took a year off because I was in college. This wasn't making it was like making $100 a month or something, but it wasn't making like that much, and I needed to pay for school, and I just kind of got tired of uploading. I made like 100 Photoshop tutorials or something.
Wow.
I don't remember the number.
You kept finding more and more topics, huh?
Yeah,
there's probably thousands if you really took the time, right?
Yeah, technically, but like I've made about like 200 or something overall, 200, 250.
Photoshop or
just Photoshop? And a lot of people don't even know that because now my channel's grown from other stuff. But I've basically covered, if you really want to know, like all you need to know. But yeah, I could go in there and like do a little there's always more stuff I could do, but I've covered like 75 or 80% of it if you really wanted.
Wow.
But get me back on track here. I totally lost what was I was
The
saying.
rebrand YouTube.
Okay. What was I thinking? Okay. So I didn't purposely do it, but I just let the channel start collecting. One day I didn't upload, and then that one day turned into a week, and then that turned into like a year. I think it turned into like a year. And you just let the habit. It's like when you stop going to the gym.
Yeah. It gets easier because you just feel farther away that it's like it doesn't even matter at this point.
And I didn't have a plan going into it, so of course it fizzled out.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always in the back of my mind. I don't really recall why, but one day, about a year and a half later, I was like, I would always like reminisce on it. Not really, but like it's always a hobby. So I was like, this was a cool thing, like that I am letting collect dust here. I probably shouldn't let this. I should probably dust this off. But I was also a little bit older, a little bit smarter. So this time I said, what can I do to take this to the next level? Because it's obviously not working as much as I want right now. So I started reading these business books. I did find like Gary Vee and Crush It and all this stuff.
The GOAT.
Yeah, and I listened to Tim Ferriss, and I got like the 4-hour work week, and I just like started strategizing and doing all the research I could. So I'm like, okay, I got to use my real name, real face, get in front of the camera, step up the production quality. I still was doing Photoshop tutorials, but I was like, I rented this little studio space similar to like this size, painted the wall blue.
Let's go.
Yacht blue.
I
I got succulents. I got the same color desk from IKEA. I drove all the way to IKEA.
IKEA right here.
And I was like, that's it. As soon as I get on camera, boom, it's
That's
out
a
of
wrap,
here.
baby.
Send it out of here. And it didn't work like that. It's also very weird to be on camera for the first time. I had to learn that. A lot of people in this video world, they started in the opposite way of me. So that's one point I have to make is like, a lot of people like to refer to all of us as like filmmakers, or like ask me like, how is it being a filmmaker? Or can you give me any tips for being a filmmaker? And I'm like, well, I wouldn't really consider myself a filmmaker in a way. I mean, it's just a word, but
yeah,
I definitely started out in a lot different way, like all internet editing software side. And then I picked up the camera afterwards. So it's kind of backward. So I picked up the camera. I started getting in front of the camera, and although it didn't work right away, it led me on to it reignited that spark. And then once I start something, I constantly keep trying to get better and improve. And I did that in that little studio for like a year, and it just kind of all started from there. But I can tell you after that, I started trying new things. Like I said, okay, this isn't working as well as I wanted. It was working a little bit, but I was like, it's not working as well as I wanted. So then I read more books. I listened to more. And I said, instead of just Photoshop, why don't I'm just like good at teaching in a way. And I actually only started doing Photoshop because I wanted something to make videos about. Video is my true.
That was the core.
Yeah.
Making the actual videos.
Video is my true passion in editing. That was how I started. I only was making Photoshop tutorials like by happenstance, kind of. I knew a lot about Photoshop, but like at the end of the day, I just like making videos. So I was like, why don't I also teach people how to make videos and edit? Because I know all this stuff about editing. And why don't I collaborate with as many people as possible? And why don't I try doing a book review and a camera review? And I did like 10 or 11 different things. And through a couple collaborations and just things I started, and I made a Premiere Pro tutorial, which is like video editing how to, and it didn't pick up right away, but I remember looking back in a couple of weeks, I was like, whoa, that one did better than everything else. I made another one, and that one did better than everything else. And then for just before I knew it, it was like I was making one every single day, and they were really taking off at one point. So I think I was filling a need that wasn't there before. Like Photoshop was covered, but nobody, there was a couple people, but there wasn't like a Premiere source of Premiere.
Yeah. So then I was gonna say, are you stepping into the Premiere world and making these tutorial videos for making videos kind of when this whole, I would say, content era really is starting to ramp up, where everybody's kind of getting into buying a camera and making music videos. Do you feel like that played a big part? Was timing?
Absolutely. It was the perfect time almost. I didn't plan it, but
Yeah.
now that I look back on it, of course this content would take off because
Everyone
everybody
wants to do it.
wants to know
I even came
how.
across the video you had made of like how to be like Sam Colder, and I'm thinking
Yeah.
because it's made. I think that one was published in 2016, the one you had made. But I'm thinking, man, this is genius because there's so many people looking up his name, and there's probably somebody that's gonna go, how do I make a Sam Colder video? Who are they gonna find? You. And
Like 50 other people.
Yeah, yeah, right. But yeah, I mean, you just talk about timing.
Yeah,
It's
just
like
every day I would come up with a new idea, and yeah, I agree with you. In the past 2 years, I feel like when I started, it's like nobody knew what was going on, but now it's like, yeah, you can become a YouTuber and make a bunch of money and make it your career and become a videographer and whatever. And now also the technology is improving so that it's not $5,000 just so you can shoot some video. It's like you could just shoot video on your phone and it'll be HD.
Yeah.
And you can edit it and everybody wants to.
It's making it so much easier.
It's perfect timing, I think.
Yeah. Do you think now what? Not do you think, but how do you think that kind of changed you as a person? Because you're going in as somebody that's making just Photoshop videos. This is it. This is how I keep making it. But then you realize, making how-to on a book review, how-to on a Sam Colder review, how-to on a music video. Do you think that helped you change yourself as a person creatively or just the way you make decisions?
Okay. Yeah, I honestly had to like rebirth myself completely. I didn't know it, but I'm a totally more, what's the word for learned? I'm so much smarter. I know so much more than I used to because I actively tried to do it. Now that I look back on it, I thought I deserved to like see more traction, but now that I look back on it, I hadn't earned it yet. I hadn't earned it until I tried 50 million different things and made hundreds of videos and actually helped some people. Now I can actually get some traction. So I definitely evolved. Like I had to break out of the shell of I did so much things in effort of growing this channel.
Yeah.
Up until the point, even not this podcast I'm recording, but my own podcast that I do is like leading me to travel and maybe even move like completely where I live just to continue nurturing. It's like kind of now instead of me dragging it's like a dog that is now running and I'm behind.
And you're like chasing after it.
Yeah, in a way. That's a weird analogy, but
yeah, it makes sense that you're like, I need to keep chasing. I need to keep chasing it. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like once you, at least for me personally, the podcast was the start. And I was kind of telling you this before, but for people that are listening, like the podcast for me was the starting point of I've never done anything creative. Let me just try it, and then I start doing it, and now it's more of I don't even overthink things anymore. If I have an idea for something, I just execute it, put it out, hope to see somebody got some value of it, a comment or a like or a DM or a tweet. And if I see it, then I'm like, man, I just have to keep making more of those. But once you break out of that shell of overthinking, is this going to really work? You kind of just keep running with it. Do you going off of that, do you find yourself now, do you make content based on what your audience is looking for? Or are you making content based on what you think is dope and fun to make?
Both. Like I have to say my advice to anyone starting out is that's such a complicated topic, but you do have to take your audience into consideration if you want to build like a large audience.
At least when you're established, because now, I mean, you're at 569,000, right?
Thank you.
It's a big number, but that's not a flex. That's to show you that you've built an audience from a lot of the tutorials. So I'm imagining a lot of people that are watching are probably like, oh, I'm looking for a tutorial.
Yes.
Oh, wait, now he's doing a podcast. I personally be like, oh, that's dope. Let me click in.
Absolutely.
But a lot of people are like, I don't want this. And then they probably unsubscribe or.
Absolutely. That's why I could have 500,000 subscribers, but post a podcast and get 2,000 views, but post a tutorial and get 10,000, but post something else and get 100,000. It's like so up and down. And that comment does like, I get that comment all the time. Like, why do you have so many subscribers, but this video that you just posted only has this X number of views? I don't really care about it. People like, it's annoying because they don't understand how the entire channel operates, and every audience is built differently.
Yeah.
It's built video by video. So of course, yes, if I start a podcast, it's basically like starting a new channel within a channel.
Yeah.
And so you can't really see that.
Mm-hmm.
The podcast maybe only has like 15,000 subscribers, and obviously that's only gonna get like 2,000 viewers or something. But I don't care about the subscriber number anymore. I always want to hit 1 million. That's like a goal, but I don't care about the subscriber number anymore. I really care much more about like the messages that I'm getting on Instagram, or the actual engagement that a video gets, like the viewership that a video gets. So I ultimately don't mind if I lose some people. I want to just build that small, tight circle of people who they dig the podcast, they dig a live stream, they dig the tutorial, they just are with it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think I've kind of taught a majority of all the basics I can in Photoshop and Premiere.
Yeah.
And I could go further in After Effects and things, and, you know, but I just have this itch in me to see what the podcast is about, because I've only scratched the surface there.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like I could just keep grinding away just to get that last 10% gain on the rest of the stuff. But I have this whole new audience that I might have yet to capture.
Well, that's the beautiful part about naming your podcast, or not your podcast, excuse me, your channel, Justin Odisho, because you can. It's an umbrella of you can do whatever you want. When I started, when I was launching the YouTube channel, I first made the channel Purpose in the Youth, and then I kind of was like, wait a second, I want to put this, mostly I learned it from Gary Vee, I want to put this under as my own name, because no matter where the world takes me, I'm always going to be, I want to keep continuing to upload content. And even though somebody might only like me from my podcast, I still want them to have that ability to click into something else and test it. And if they don't like it, then oh well. It'd be as if.
So you get the opposite problem as me. Like if you do something other than a podcast.
Because I'm so young. I'm just a little guy on the baseline. I'm still under 1,000 subscribers, so I don't have anything to lose. I have everything to gain. And I'm not saying you have it.
But I see it the same way. It's harder for me to see it the same way.
Yes, because you've already built.
Because I do see like I have something to lose. But actually, if you really think about it, it's like, what's 500,000 to 5 million?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What I'm trying to say is that at the end of the day, you're MTV, right? Some people are going to click in and they're going to like that one show, that second show, maybe that third show. Maybe they'll like all of them. But at the end of the day, you're going to still provide what you think is great content, what you like to make. And hopefully people are going to click into maybe all of it or maybe some of it. But at the end of the day, if you're still providing value or entertainment or insight or whatever the case might be, I think that still is a win. Even if the subscribers isn't continuing to grow the way that it was, or it's just that whole battle of trying to make sure you're feeding the beast YouTube what it's expecting versus what do you actually enjoy creating.
It's you can't only look at yourself. You can be, if you're awesome, if you're a genius and you're a master, you can be like, I don't care what nobody thinks, this is what I got to give you guys, and everyone loves it. Me, I got to take a little bit more consideration into like, what do they want, you know? And but I've been trying to, I always try to stick it to my, like for my podcast, I love interviewing guests that I'm interested in, because I know if I'm interested in them, then there's probably a bunch of other people that are interested in the same things as me, and that's how I can grow it.
That's the beauty of podcasting. People don't realize it is literally a leverage to network and build relationships with the people that you're already interested in building in. And I didn't think about that when I started it, but then when it started rolling, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much just offering a platform for people who doesn't like talking about themselves. Bring them in, get their story, build a relationship. Maybe one day it sets something up for the next thing, and then who knows it. What inspired you to start the podcast? And it's what's the title? It's just
right now it's just the Justin Odisho Podcast. Yep. It's kind of just like modeled after Tim Ferriss and stuff.
Yeah, shout out to the GOAT, Tim Ferriss.
What inspired me to start it was I was listening more and more. I was listening to like long podcasts, like an hour long, for
top 3. Let's hear it.
Like Tim Ferriss, Joe Rogan.
Great. Go.
Obviously, I love Gary Vaynerchuk's stuff, but it's like more of an audio experience rather than a podcast.
Yeah.
Freaking, I don't know. There's so many.
That's cool.
I like the H3 podcast. Well, I don't listen to them that much anymore. But anyways, any podcast, like I listen to like 10 podcasts.
Yep.
And they're all dope. And I've been on a bunch of dope ones too, like yours and Well, now I am on yours.
We're in the process of it.
I've been on a bunch of dope ones too. So even the smaller shows that aren't as consistent as a Joe Rogan or Tim Ferriss, I love listening to those too. So yeah, I just noticed myself listening more and more and more to podcasts for hours at a time and just leaving them on in the background while I do something or drive. And I was also still in that study mode, paying attention to people like Gary Vee, and thinking in my like how can I expand phase. A podcast would be a great platform for me to one, collaborate with people because I was trying to collaborate more, and you can't really collaborate on a Photoshop tutorial.
Yeah.
You know?
You take it from here, Rick.
Hey, Bobby, come.
Yeah.
You can.
I wouldn't know what I'm doing.
I've done it.
I'll be there just to talk.
You can't collaborate on those type of things as easily. Whereas now I've found that like if I want to connect with someone, I can be like, let's do a podcast.
Yeah. Let's make the time let's make the time valuable and capture it.
But yeah, I feel like there's more to me that people don't get from just the tutorials that I feel like I can shed. I want my podcast ultimately to be a platform to shed light on the things that I'm interested in and I think deserve that I think other people would enjoy too, and also for me to meet and connect with people and have good conversations that spark ideas, thoughts, and help other people, because I've taught step by step, like, yeah, click this button, do this, that's how you get this effect.
Yeah.
But how do you teach someone how to decide what they want to do for the rest of their life, or how to run a business or something?
Yeah.
Well, you can get that out of someone else's story, or their stories are really good teachers too. So it's like education, X entertainment.
Yeah. I've learned so much in 2 years, and it's solely been from listening. Like, I don't read at all. At all. Maybe a blog post or two in a week, or Twitter will always get me with something. I see something pop up on my time. I'm like, oh, gotta click that. Like today, Drake shuts down restaurant to go on a date with his 8-year-old. I'm like, Drake, what? Click into this. But I don't read, but I've listened to so much content, podcast experiences like Gary's, and I've learned so much. And that's when it's like, wow, people are learning on the go. They're learning while they're doing their laundry. They're learning when they're in that Uber. Hopefully I'm driving. They're learning in all these different environments now just from solely listening. It's such a powerful thing because you can do other things while you're listening, and you can still take with that one takeaway, or get inspired, or make a change in your life based on something that you heard. You didn't have to read it.
Yeah, and like you say with reading, every time I finish doing an episode, I've done 25 now, and like 20-something of them have been interviews. Every time I finish interviewing something, I feel like I just read a book on someone.
Yes. Right? What's crazy is people will come in, and after you leave today, I'm going to feel like I just skipped like 5 years of what a normal relationship would take, because we just get right into it, you know? I think the other thing that podcasting has taught me is to skip small talk with people. Like people that I meet in public now, I get right into it. And they're like, man, that's a really great question. And I'm like, well, that's what I'm trying to do for a living. But yeah, I find myself now too, just in conversation with people, I get right to it.
It has made me such a better listener and conversationalist.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, in many of my episodes, I cut guests off, I start rambling, and I listen back. But then I listen back to the episode, and I'm like, I should have let him finish that sentence. I need to stop talking as much. I need to listen more. And I have such a similar experience in Ubers or Lyfts or whatever. The Uber driver will remark that you ask a lot of good questions, or like, wow, you're a good conversation or something. It's like I've learned how to be interested in people. I just ask questions. And you know what? That ties into, like, there's a lot of times where I see people just in my own personal interactions, and I see them make the mistake of not being curious about who's next to them, or just like missing opportunities, or like, all right, not to say that I'm like some big shot dude or whatever, but I was in Chicago Labor Day weekend, right? I'm walking down. I see this kid doing like a hyperlapse or something. He has a camera. It's like this little time lapse thing. Seeing he has this like cool Sony camera. He's like taking pictures, presumably for like Instagram or something.
Of course.
And so I'm like standing around in the same area as him, waiting for like the crosswalk. So I'm like, oh, cool. This kid's like in my world. I'm like, oh, it's a cool camera. Which one is that? Like the Sony, whatever. And he like thought I was trying to like sell him something, or thought that I just was like some tourist that was like, oh, cool camera, shiny camera or something. And he's like, oh yeah, thanks. And then like I again like ran into him like a little bit down the street, and I remarked again like, oh, I'm trying to get like this Sony whatever when it comes out. And again he's like, yeah, cool. And then he like walks on, and I'm like, okay, I'm not saying maybe he's like a famous photographer and he gets people bothering him all the time. But like I'm sure I have somehow I could help him if he would have been like, oh yeah, this is the Sony. Oh, you like, what do? You take pictures? Oh, cool. Oh, you actually know this person? Oh, I've been trying to get in touch with that person. Yeah. Oh, you do this? Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe he's like on the street looking for to like get a dope picture for the gram to like get more followers, and that's like grinding right now. Yep. But maybe he walked right by it. Maybe if he would have talked to me, I could have helped him out. Yeah. I sound butthurt, but
no, like, it's true.
You get what I'm saying?
There's missed opportunities, dude.
You could be sitting next to
all
someone.
You have to do is you have to realize you have to ask the right questions, and you have to be open. Be curious and just ask people and listen. And there was a podcast that I had listened to recently. It was actually a Matt Diavella's podcast, The Ground Up Show. I forget which podcast it was, but this guy or these guys had met Casey Neistat, and they meet him, and they kind of get all flustered, and they just pitch him like who they are, what they're doing. And he's like, all right, like, nice, I got to go. And then they left, and they didn't even take the time to say like Casey, because they were so inspired by him, but they were so caught up that they felt like they had to sell themselves, where they didn't even say like, Casey, thank you, or for your content. Or I really have found that if you want somebody to remember who you are, I mean, yes, you have to maybe have a good conversation and say the right things, but more so, if you can ask the right questions, people will always remember who you are, because you're gonna ask them, and people love talking. So it's like, wait, this kid's he's asking the right questions. He's not asking me, hey Justin, like how do you get 500,000 subscribers on YouTube? It's like, oh man, okay, blah blah blah. Justin, different. Now this is case number 2. Kid goes, Justin, man, what's been like what's the hardest thing that you've come across as a YouTuber?
Yeah, and I love really answering those questions.
Really getting down to like the juicy stuff, not the big ha hurrah. Oh, how do I get to 500,000 subscribers? What's the toughest struggle that you've had as a YouTuber? Yeah, you know, that's how you get people to remember.
And I love. By the way, anyone that's listening to this, hit me up on Instagram. I answer all my DMs. But that's the thing. If I get a question that's like, how do I reset the RAM on my preferences so I can render? I might not know. I try to help everyone, but sometimes it's like I can't. I'm not really giving a paragraph response to that. Yeah. Or I might link them to a video. Or sometimes people do just say thanks for your video, so I just drop them a heart. But I'm always down to answer like the how did you know like what you wanted to do after college or whatever, you know, versus like the should I get a Canon or a Sony? You know what I'm saying? You know what Instagram needs to come up with, and I just thought of it right now. They need to add into the DMing. FAQ? They need to add in a voice, because there's a lot of questions. Not that I know of. Like, you know how in iMessage. That's smart. Do you have an iPhone? Yeah. Okay. You know how in iMessage you can hold down and do a voice record? Yeah, if they had that, I would answer so much. I mean, my DMs are not popping, don't get me wrong, but there's always that one like random question that I'm just not in the mood to write out, so I just don't. I just let it be seen. That's smart. But if they had a voice where I could be like, hey man, you need to do X, Y, and Z, reach out to this person, do what you got to do, best of luck. At least I'm giving them what they wanted. But that's a really good idea. I've never thought of doing Instagram, hit me up. That's a great idea. But honestly, that I've been paying attention to. Gary's been preaching it for a year and a half, 2 years. Voice is the next big thing. And you realize that time and process I have to spend, I don't want to do it. But I'll gladly hold down the phone. I'll gladly talk for 5 minutes in a cell phone than spend 60 seconds typing something out. Yeah. Because it's just a different medium for me. That's the other thing with being trying to grow an audience. I feel like I'm much more savvy at growing an audience than I am at being a good editor, being a good whatever. Yes, I just happen to know the software well, but I'm not the greatest editor, you know. I'm not the greatest videographer, you know. Yeah. But I am really good at knowing how to like grow an audience and use the platforms and like work hard at it and like answer all the messages and do things and whatever. There's tons of people that are better than me that probably have gotten less reach than me. Maybe I'm undervaluing myself, but I think so.
Yeah.
But I just have grinded it out and made like hundreds and hundreds of videos and kind of just played the game in a way.
Yeah, you've definitely played the field and understand what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Who's at the top of your podcast guest list right now? Who if you could have anyone today, who would it be?
Man, I never really think about this question too much, but
here it is.
Okay, there's people that I personally would love to talk to, like Drake or something. But there's also the people that I think would be really good but attainable guests that the audience would love to hear, like a Sam Colder. So open invitation. But like, I love Sam Colder stuff. I'm just saying I'd rather like interview Drake first.
Yeah.
But my audience, I think like, if I could get a Sam Colder on, or like I know what my audience wants and what I want, and I try to make a happy marriage. So there's
Find
like
a lot of those like videographer travelers.
Yeah, there's some heavy hitters at the top of the list that I think would be like banger episodes, regardless if I'm the most interested in them or not.
Because you guys can go into like the nerdy details that people would love for your audience. Like, talk to me about that process, Sam. And he's like, yeah, man, I use the Final Cut Pro. There's those people at the top of the game that obviously would be good episodes to have. Then there's also the people that like I love. Like it might be Drake, but it also might be like this like more unknown artist or something that I just really love and would love to have a conversation with that I know my audience might not even care about as much. But I don't know. I feel like you could do hundreds of episodes and fit it all in. Has there been, you've done 25 episodes right now. This doesn't have, I'm not saying this is your favorite episode, but has there been an episode so far that either got the most feedback or that you were most proud of, or is there one that stands out?
I can tell you a funny story about one. Okay, my most viewed episode is my interview with Brother, BRTHR, which is the director duo.
Okay.
Out of New York, and they've directed videos for The Weeknd and Travis Scott and Kali Uchis and like many big artists.
You guys probably vibe out well on that too because of the video.
The music video director lane is like also a very popular one for my audience, and I've had many on. Like you just had Jacob Owens on, so that was like another people like
great
that
bearded
episode.
brother. Great bearded.
You guys
brother.
are bearded bros, but I like that. So that episode is the most viewed so far. It has like the first one to get over 10,000 views, and awesome. With podcasts, there's YouTube views, but there's also Apple Podcast listens and Spotify, so it's hard to measure. But that one I can see kind of like did well, but I also enjoyed the story of it because I was in New York, and I remember we almost didn't do it, but I like purposely missed my flight so I could do it.
Wow.
So I was in my hotel room. They were like, we can do it at like 5 or 6, and I was like, my flight's gonna leave at like 5. So I called the airline and I was like, can I like get a later flight? She wouldn't tell me on the phone. They're not allowed to tell you on the phone. Like she wasn't gonna tell me, yeah, we can reschedule you. She's like, I just can't promise anything. So I was like, I'm just gonna miss it. I didn't tell her. I was just like,
okay, see ya.
I'm missing the flight because like I didn't have to be back for anything. I was like, I might take the L on some money, but
it'll be worth it for the content.
I missed the flight. I went over there with all my luggage. Like I'm here with all my luggage. This is like the second time. I went over there with all my luggage. We did the interview. It was dope because it was one of my first ones where I actually recorded the video and had multiple people on the mic, so that was cool.
Yep.
We just had a great conversation, and it was also like a nice New York scenery, nice day. And I just thought that was a great episode, and it was like a good one for the podcast. But I enjoy all the conversations, but I guess that one's funny because I missed my flight for it.
Yeah, that's pretty epic.
But they rescheduled me, and I didn't have to pay extra.
Let's go. So, who was it? What was the airline?
Delta.
Shout out to Delta Airlines.
It was one of those smaller planes, but we made it.
A little prop. They had to get out there and get the engine running.
Have you ever had any crazy like? Well, you bring the guests to you. That's the other thing.
I've done some I've done a handful outside of a studio space. Like I've gone to people probably maybe I'd say under 10 have been outside of the studio space, but most of them have come to me. But like depending if there's like a certain guest that I really want, I'm like, hey, we could do it, but you have to come, I'll do it. But definitely like having this space. I also have like a pop-up little poster that I can travel with that has like the Purpose in the Youth logo, but I'm much rather in here because of just this is like the setup and breaking down and all that. I don't have to deal with that. But the one I did with Tyler Babin was at VaynerMedia in New York too.
Oh yeah,
which was your most recent podcast, and for me that was a pretty dope one because that was coming up on the 1 year marker for the podcast. I wanted him to be the 1 year anniversary podcast, but I didn't have any others actually in the vault, so I literally had to like let his go. I had to release it, so I was a little butthurt about that. But it was a big, it kind of was
full circle.
Yeah, and it lit a fire under my ass even more because I had been listening to Gary for that entire year since I graduated, and he was kind of my motivator. He was like the one that was getting me to show up. And I was in VaynerMedia to do a podcast with Tyler. Gary wasn't there, but it was just the energy of being in the place that I knew that the guy that I was so much looking for that positive energy, for that positivity, I was in his office less than a year of doing a podcast, especially because I had no YouTube content creating beforehand. And I told myself, if I can get here in year 1, game over. I just have to keep going.
I bet I have a funny story for you then that maybe I can relate to you in a way that a lot of people might not, because I've also went and interviewed Tyler at the Vayner offices, so I can really, really relate.
Yeah, we're on the same page there.
And I remember Gary was there, but he was in his office doing he gave us like a little head nod.
Yeah.
But I remember I was like, I had to use the bathroom, and I just remember being in the bathroom, and I'm like, wow, I'm in the bathroom of like the Vayner offices. This is like
where Gary goes to the bathroom.
No, not like that level of like, but just like being in a physical building, seeing the machine operating, it's just like
inspiring,
real close to the energy. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. Like there's a real physical building and people use the bathroom here and they're real people.
Yeah. It's epic, dude. It's epic. And that's so dope that you actually went there too, because it's you know exactly that feeling, especially if you've been a big fan of Gary. And crazy, you found me through Gibson Hazard. Tyler Babin found me through Gibson Hazard.
Yeah.
So shout out to Gibson. There's so many times with people I'm like, how did you find me? Gibson Hazard. How'd you find me? Gibson Hazard.
Because he's like a real low key dude, I feel like. And
if you Google his name, I think I'm the 3rd search.
Yeah.
So I think the first one is his website. The second one is maybe another art of him. But I think I'm very fortunate and grateful that I'm one of the few people that have actually been able to grab him for an interview. And so I've gotten a lot of traction from it, which is super dope.
And that's the other thing. Like, you never know who you're going to connect with and where their career's going. Because like, he's doing crazy stuff now.
Do you want to laugh at how I connected with him?
No, sure, but yeah.
Yeah. So I had emailed him.
No, I don't want to laugh.
You're not gonna laugh. It's just timing once again. I had emailed him when I was getting the podcast off the ground because I was living out in Boston. I was very familiar with his work because he was at the time kind of a Boston-based guy. He went to school in Malden.
Oh yeah. Yep. So, I interviewed him. I know this.
So yeah.
I should know this.
I emailed him. He's like, yeah, man, it sounds dope. I live in LA now. Sorry, like maybe one day. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Fast forward like 3 months later, I come out to LA with my homie Dylan. He was out here to shoot music videos, and I had one podcast locked in with this dude named Jordan Wazzy. He now videos for Machine Gun Kelly. So I was like, all right, I'll just come out here.
Did he do that Rap Devil song?
Yeah.
Did he
shot that? He shot that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So shout out to Jordan Wazzy. So I come out here with just one podcast locked in. I was like, I love LA. It'll be fun. At least I have one thing I can do. Maybe I'll get a couple more podcasts. We'll see what happens. Second night we're here, we go to this wine mixer party. It's hosted by this guy named William Bolton. He's been on the podcast too. He's a singer-songwriter. And he pretty much was having these like weekly or bi-weekly wine mixers where he'd come, he'd play music in his house, and people just have wine, cheese, and that was that. Who's there? Gibson Hazard.
Charcuterie.
Gibson's Hazard this. Yeah. So then my homie Dylan was friends with Gibson. He's like, yo, Gibson, this is Bobbbaaaay. I'm like, dude, I'm the one that emailed you 3 months ago. It's like, oh, what up, bro? And the next night we did a podcast.
That's sick.
Timing. That's what it all comes down to.
And so how I found you is I had reached out to Gibson because I've been doing all these tutorials.
Yeah.
And he does crazy stuff, and like
Epic.
Yeah, and so
You got to do a tutorial on one of his videos.
Well,
it's probably
I got a bazillion messages every single day. I would at least get one message a week, ramping up like, "Hey, check out this guy's stuff. How does he do this? You should." And like after like the 30th or 40th message I got, I was like, I had the podcast going. I was like, let me just interview the dude. You know? I don't. First of all, I'm not gonna act like I know how to do everything. I don't know how to do everything when people ask me. If I know, I link them or I try. And also there's certain things that I feel like I want to respect other people's work, and like Cole Bennett is one that people ask me all the time. You know Cole Bennett?
Of course.
Everyone always asks me, do like how to edit like Cole Bennett or do this Cole Bennett. I would be like, I kind of leave it alone because I'd rather interview him and have it come right out of his mouth than me trying to say. Like the thing, I've done a lot of stuff that bounces off of popular music videos, and it's like, yeah, I don't really care if I'm leveraging Drake's name. Sorry, Drake, but like
use it.
Sorry, Drake.
Clickbait, baby.
You know what I'm saying? Like, sorry, Drake, but I'm not really taking any food out of Drake's mouth. You know, but like with guys that I feel like are more closer mutual in my circle, I'm not gonna like constantly be like doing how to edit like Gibson or how to edit like Cole, because I feel like I could rather just like reach out to them instead. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's where I have kind of like draw that moral line. It's like
you rather just wait and then get them on the podcast to tell that story.
Yeah, it's like when you're talking about A-list megastars, it's like, yeah, maybe like that's cool for it's popular culture, so I can talk about it. When you're talking about like other like kind of creators who are like maybe solo or like just kind of similar to us, it's like I'm gonna let them. And I've done like I remember I did something on a Big Sean video, and like one of the guys that worked on it was like salty for some reason.
Oh, come on.
First of all, like shout out to Brother. I did something on a Travis Scott video that they directed. Yeah. And he reached out to me and said, that was dope. Like you're really like,
you know your stuff.
Articulate. That was dope. Thank you for mentioning us and everything. And so that's how it's mostly gone, is like, it's like a mutual thing. Like I'm shedding light on like this behind the scenes stuff, and it's like a platform for that. Yeah. And I'm also leveraging like a big pop culture thing, which is something you got to do when you're building an audience.
Okay, so I don't want to jump you, but I don't want to lose that thought. But going off that, not to once again ride the Gary wave, or like the Gary
counter, 10
but
counter.
The thing is, and the one thing that another major takeaway that I got from him is that he's always like, I will give you all the answers because you guys won't be able to execute it. You know, so I'm the same way. If somebody wants to know how I reach out to people for podcasts or what my prep process is like, I will gladly. Maybe I don't want to like tell every single person because I don't want to spend the time. But if you catch me and we're in a 45-minute Uber and I'm your driver and you are like, tell me exactly how you run your show, I will tell you down to the detail how long I spend, where I get all this information. I will tell you everything. But I'm not afraid because I'm me. You can't replicate me. You can't replicate the bearded man. You can't replicate the energy. So I'll give you the keys. Yeah. The people like that are like, oh man, you're telling the crowds, you're telling people how to do it. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, well,
especially if you give them a shout out, like you said, and they gave you love. It's like, that's dope.
Yeah, and most people understand where it's coming from. It was just like they were like, this guy is just trying to like use Big Sean's name. I'm like, yeah, I am, but first of all,
it's a win-win.
Like, let me clap back real quick.
Yeah.
I was like, first of all, I'm not doing a video about you. I don't care. I'm doing a video about Big Sean. I literally don't care about like you.
Calm down, bro.
Anyways, that was the only time that ever happened, but that's why I have like a moral thing that like, I don't know. I'm trying to. That's another thing with the podcast is going to be like totally organic content. Yeah. It's just like how full circle, like how I started in 2008 and I want to do something organic. Yeah. And I'm kind of coming back around. I want to do something like organic again. And the podcast is a chance for me to, rather than break down another person's work, just have them come on. And that ties back to like the Rap Genius thing. It's like, they're kind of like in my lane, man. They're doing everything. They're doing the director breakdowns. They're doing the song breakdowns. But that's all around music, you know? So they're not going to have like you come in there and explain how you do your podcast unless you drop a hit single. Yeah. So
it's coming.
But whereas I could have you on my show and we could have a conversation. So it's all like, I think the more the merrier. Like if your podcast blows up, I don't see that as like even though we've had 2 or 3 of the same, or here's the thing, we've had 2 or 3 of the same guests out of like 100 episodes or whatever. Some people might be like, like I wanted that guest to myself. But to me, it's better because it's like, if your episode on Jacob that you just put out right now is good for me, because now like a few of those people are gonna want more Jacob content and maybe find my episode on Jacob.
Yep.
So it's like,
it's a win-win, and the conversations are always going to be different.
Yeah.
Like the conversation I had with Jacob to the conversation you had with him, I'm sure are completely different, because once again, you're coming from more of the technical background. You know, you have that knowledge and that experience of all that technicality stuff that I have no idea of.
Yeah.
The only thing I can relate to him is the beard. That's it. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's the other thing.
It's a win-win.
Really just going off of like what I was just saying. I'm not afraid. I want to see other people win because there's enough of the pie out there. There's not enough people that are executing. There's not enough people that are they're gonna talk about that they're gonna start a podcast and then they're gonna give up in 10 weeks.
Yeah.
So, okay,
exactly.
cool. Just keep
know
talking
how
about
hard it is.
I want to see other people succeed.
Yeah.
Once again, I'll gladly tell you how I do it. I'll gladly give you all the answers. But you still got to figure it out. You got to reach out to the guys. You have to get a starting point. I mean, in the beginning, it was just all local friends. It was mutual friends. And then one would lead to another. And then you kind of just run with it. But, yeah, I don't get butthurt. If anything, if I see a guest that I want to get on my show go on somebody else's show first, I'm pumped because I'm going to grow. And by the time we sit down for that podcast, they've grown, I've grown. It's a win-win. It's the same thing when somebody says, hey, man, really respect what you're doing on the podcast, but, like, timing's not great. Awesome. There was definitely a point in the beginning stages where I would be like, fuck this, man. I get all worked up on it, and then I realized, nope, timing is everything. Also, we're going to grow. They're going to grow. And by the time we sit down a podcast, it's going to be even better. So flipping the lens, is it a negative thing that they're not coming on your show, or is it a positive because it's setting it up for a better thing down the future?
I think of that too. It's like sometimes someone will delay me on something. I'll be like, well, we're all growing every single day. We're getting hundreds of subscribers. Like, I'd rather do it in a month too. We're all going to be, it's going to be better for me.
It's going to be literally a win-win.
But I feel you. Sometimes I do get that, like, all right, you don't want to come on my show?
Yeah.
Watch in a year from now.
But you gotta let those little chips. You gotta let those chips on your shoulder keep you moving. I need them. I need them.
That brings me back to like full circle here. We never really got into this. This is like a great story. I saw this thing on Instagram that was, these are the 3 biggest life's teachers: heartbreak, empty pockets, and failure or something. And around that rebrand time, so I'm going to college. I was working a retail job, whatever. Anyways, fast forward to Justin. As I said, I'm like the funny guy. I start talking to this girl that I was working with, and it was summer, it fell in a little summer love type of thing.
Yeah.
And that went left. It did not work out, but boy, I was heartbroken.
Yeah.
I was like shattered.
Yeah.
I was a mess. And I clearly remember around that time, first of all, I was like lost in school. This girl just broke my heart. I'm pretty like, I'm not making that much money, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And I have like debt and all this stuff. And at that point I was like, I had the biggest chip on my shoulder you'll ever see in life.
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, I had to rebuild from scratch. I was like, okay, if that's not who I am, okay, if this happened, then I don't even know who I am. So who am I, first of all? So I look in the mirror. I'm like, what do I want from my life? What do I deserve? And I wrote down all these crazy goals. Like, all right, I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna see if I can make a living out of my passions. I'm gonna build this YouTube channel. I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure this out. I wrote down all these goals. I actually have the piece of paper. I wrote down all these goals that I wanted to achieve in that year. And then for the next year, I just was on like a self-improvement kick. That's how I started reading all these business books and doing all this stuff. Because I was like, I'm going to come back from this like a million times better.
Yep.
And then that sparked me, that little like moment to get on this self-improvement kick, and then it led to everything like I had no idea. I'm so thankful for that moment, because I was just like wandering lost, like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That moment, it like forced me to look in the mirror and just like figure it out right there.
Bro.
And then like by the time I was getting ready to graduate, that was another like thing creeping up on me. I was like, I'm gonna make this work by the time I graduate, or I'm gonna go get a real job.
Dog, we have the same stories, because
that's why we both have a podcast.
Yeah, I know, because dude, man, I'll make mine real short, but
I made it short, trust me.
I know, that's the thing. My senior year, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never really spoke on it too much on the podcast. And
I've never told that story.
And see,
we're
getting the real gems today, baby. And I'll run with it too, just for a quick second.
I didn't want to give her the spotlight. That's how salty.
No,
I am.
it's cool. It's cool. It's cool.
Chip.
But you gotta let those chips fill you up. My senior year, there was this lovely gal that I got tripped up over. She just pulled the rug. I don't know.
Yes.
I got caught. I got roped in.
In conclusion, I got played.
I hate to admit it, but I got so roped in. She threw a lasso on me, and if she wanted me to go right, I was going right. If she wanted to go left, I was going left. I was so caught up. But it worked out for the best of me, because then when I graduated, it was like, okay, I just saw what can happen on a blink of an eye, and it's not. I see what happens in the world, that there's certain things you can't control. Somebody doesn't like you, or you don't get the job because they don't like you, or whatever. And I also don't know what my passion is. This is the best thing that could have happened, because I got to go on this journey of figuring out who I am. I need to invest all my time and energy into myself. I need to set myself up so that if this ever happens again, I'm good, because I already have my shit figured out. It was the best thing that ever happened to me, because now, I hate to say it, but I don't put any time and energy to dating right now, and I haven't since I graduated college, because I know how much time and effort and energy it takes to get something like this off the ground.
Yeah.
And I do not want to live the rest of my life and in 5 years look back and think, well, if I hadn't done X, Y, and Z, it would have worked. If I died today, I would know that I literally, not happening. I would know that literally for the last 2 years, I've put everything on the line. Everything, and that is so rewarding. But that chip from, it wasn't her personally. It wasn't, I'm happy. I'm happy the way it did. I'm happy that happened, because I needed to find myself, and
it's like a slap in the face.
Yes.
It just is what it is.
A wake-up call. She pinched
it's
me on
a
my
wake-up
cheek.
call.
Yes.
It's a wake-up call. You
Yes.
realize that you're not invincible.
Mm-hmm.
Up until that point,
Shout out to feelings.
I was invincible. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't have no idea that I was not invincible. At that point, I was like, whoa. I am not invincible. I have some things I could work on.
Yeah.
And not to tell anyone, like, don't. I mean, you just, like, meet people. And sometimes some things happen. You fall in love, or you don't, or whatever. Not saying, like, don't date. There's lots of people that they probably get tons of great energy from it. And it's, like, the best thing they could ever do. I'm just saying, like, it's so funny how I think that, like, the greatest people come from the level of, like, failure that they've had is the level of success that they've had. It's, like, equally inverse, I feel like. So maybe that's not completely true, but just in a motivation sense, it's like the lower you've been, the higher you can go.
I 100% agree. I think you have to literally fall in love with yourself before you can fall in love with somebody else. Because there's a lot of times that I see.
Can we turn this neon sign red real quick?
I wish that's what I need to do. I can change up the mood
settings in here.
But you have to.
You have to.
Too many people that I meet and see that their happiness comes from that person, and that if that person isn't around, or that person is moody, they're moody. It's like, if that person wakes up and leaves you tomorrow, where are you? Where are you left standing?
You invested everything.
And you can invest in people like that, but you got to emotionally and mentally and physically be. I think you got to be at your best game, because it's going to benefit that relationship, and it's going to benefit you, so that if something ever does happen, you're good. You're like ready for it.
Yeah. Well, now I've learned, like, same thing I said with the channel. Like, now I learned so much. Like, I've learned so much not from my successes, but from my failures. Yeah. Like, how to be more patient, how to be more understanding, how to let go of certain things, how to be more comfortable with certain things, how to, like, work, just work. Like, I'm thankful for all my failures completely.
#failures.
Hashtag failures. It's like
hashtag failures.
I think the most successful people are probably like the people who have failed the most.
Yeah.
And like barring like some millionaire rich Bitcoin story or something, like the most successful people are the people, because why would anyone have the energy to do all this if they weren't like kind of like running away from some demons or chasing something else?
Yeah.
Obviously it's a mix of both. Since a kid I was creative. Since a kid it's like nature versus nurture. I had all this in me, but luckily my life's path gone this way that like gave me some pushes and some sparks and some lessons, and I was able to hone in on some things, and I'm still learning. I'm still young, so hopefully not too many more devastating failures, but some more failures along the way.
Nah, failures are gonna set you up for that.
Looking forward to my failures.
I'm looking forward to it. Come to my doorstep. What do you think Justin's purpose is?
My purpose is to be the example for the younger me in a way. Like I just want to be the example for anyone who needs it, whether it's someone who's from their area, someone who looks like them, someone who's their age, someone who does a similar thing as them. I just want to be an example, a good example for that person that needs it, like when I needed it, you know? Because I think,
if you can remember that, if you can remember those shoes that you were in, and you can produce something that you think would have helped that version of Justin, it's a pretty good feeling.
Yeah. Or just by being your authentic self, someone else. Like I love when people tell me, I didn't realize, because I wish somebody would have shook me and been like, what are you doing with your stupid IT degree? Like, stop now. Look at this thing you have.
Yeah.
Start treating it like a business.
Yeah.
Do it. But nobody told me that because nobody knew. Because nobody's going to tell you, actually. You have to figure out.
But even if they do tell you, you kind of still have to figure out for yourself, because people can tell you to do all these things with your life. You have to still figure out what's the best thing you can do.
But I wish someone would at least showed me or told me, or like, I'm thankful for all the examples that I've used in my life to be like, oh, that kid's from my area. That kid's my same ethnicity. That kid's doing the same topic as me. I'm thankful for all the examples I've had, whether it's just in like, whether I could build an audience or life in general. Like I love looking for examples of someone who did XYZ despite XYZ, or you know, and I just take all those examples and I'm able to use those to kill any excuse that I have. So if I can be that for someone and also provide them education, entertainment, whatever, and also provide for myself and the people I love and my friends and family, then I think that's my purpose there, you know?
Yeah. It's pretty badass if you ask me.
So, thank you.
I'm very similar with that answer.
I think everyone's in a similar way, but they would define it in different ways.
Yeah. This is when I reverse the role. I allow my guests to ask me any one question. It could be about something we talked about today. One rule, it can't be that a question that I asked you today already. But it could be any question you want to know about me. It could be something stupid. It could be something funny. I don't really care. Any one question.
Okay. Well, since I'm also a podcaster, and I'm
this is some podcast. Hashtag podcast broing out time.
I was already flipping the script on you. You're a little bit further ahead so I'm 25 episodes in, and you're 100 episodes. By the way, real quick, just to tie up this loose end.
Yep.
I never actually said how I found you. I know I said Gibson, but yeah, anyways, people were DMing me about Gibson, and so I Googled him, and you came up, and then I found your podcast.
Let's go.
Anyways.
Let's go.
So he was like my episode 8, and you're episode 20-somethingth, and now I'm on 25, and you're on like 100. What have you learned in the past 100 episodes from a podcasting standpoint, not from like a life standpoint? What's been like the biggest struggle or like challenge that you've learned that you get by quicker now? Cause like that you could give to me
like a piece of advice
as I go to 100, like how you were telling me earlier, how you used to have the 2 shows and then you formed it back into 1.
Yeah.
What have you just like been struggling or challenged with that you're kind of figuring out that puzzle?
I don't know if it was necessarily, you know, I'll give you the answer. I don't know if it was necessarily a struggle, but it was kind of just like 2 things really. One, realizing that the podcasting world doesn't always have to follow one thing after another. For the longest time, as I was telling you about before the podcast, I was episode 1, 2, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And you can do that. But for so long, I just thought, I have to do that. Got to get to 10, then 11, then 12. And then listening to Gary's, once again, Gary comes up. His experience, I love the idea of the experience. Because I remember I started this podcast trying to find a passion, trying to find a purpose. I was like, oh, cool. That's why I'm doing it. I'm still doing it. I'm capturing all these different stories, hopefully inspiring other people. But I also realized as much as this podcast is about guests, it's also becoming my story. So then I started doing like these solo pods, just me talking about subjects. Then I started incorporating group episodes, bringing in a couple people. And the first one was talking about moving to Los Angeles. 3 of my buddies and me sitting here talking about the process that we went from moving from Massachusetts to LA. Not about, well, yeah, it is unfolding the stories of passionate people. We're all passionate. We all have our own lanes. It's giving value to people that might be interested in coming to LA. So the first thing I've really learned is that have fun with it and don't think that there's only one way to do it, because for that so long I felt I got to get to episode 10 and I kept telling myself just follow the number and you're going to keep growing. And yes, you do grow. But if you have an idea to make yours stand out a little bit differently, why not try it? If you're thinking about incorporating or doing something a little bit different with, I don't know what could be going through your head, but maybe there's something, do it. Like I'm preaching because you've already done this. You've been doing this, you know the trial and error, and that's the best way you're going to learn. Second thing, really from a podcasting standpoint, the best advice or thing is preparation. I think what I've gotten very good at and that I think has helped me grow as a podcaster and a complete transition from 100 from where I was in 1 is I do so much research that I want to know your story before you even walk in. I want you to come in so we can dig deeper, so we can elaborate on certain points so that when you leave or the guest leaves, they felt as if it was a therapy session. It wasn't me just Q&Aing. It was me going off of topics and digging deeper or showing that I actually cared to spend the time to research. Because there's a lot of times that I hear podcasts. It's no offense. If that's how you want to run your show, that's how you want to run your show. And, maybe that's just how it is. That's how it operates. Gary, once again, will bring somebody in like, hey, tell me where you're from. He doesn't have the time to research it. But I know I'm going all in on this. At least for the type of platform I'm trying to build, I need to create this to the best of my ability. And although I can't guarantee the guest is going to spit out everything that I want them. I want them to drop gems. I want them to inspire. I want them to motivate. But I can prep and have that ready to go based on doing the research and having more than enough preparation that literally we're going to wrap up this pod and I still had probably 6 or 7 points.
That's how it goes.
Just in case. So if you're at 25 in, clearly you just got to keep going. Keep trying. If there's ideas that you have within the podcasting world that you think might be dope, try it, incorporate it into the show that you already have. And then 3, the big one is just preparation. I haven't listened to the podcast to really know how you run it. But I would just say, just as I'm sure you already are, just be as prepared as you can be and try to really dig deeper into the conversations, because I think even the listener, it makes for a different experience because now they're listening to almost like 2 brothers broing out that know each other versus the people that I've just met for the first time. So I think that's all I would say. And the struggle really was just trying to find me as a podcaster, trying to find me as how am I going to stand out from the crowd and how can I do this to the best of my ability? Because I'm not the smartest. I didn't go to school for journalism. I didn't go to school to interview people. I didn't go to school to do this media stuff. But I've been willing to just keep my head down and put in the work like you've done for the last 8 years.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I've done solo my first episode was a solo episode.
Yep.
I've done group chat episodes.
Yep.
I've done interviews. That's the thing that I struggled with is there's so many different formats. Like,
yeah. You gotta have fun with it.
Yeah.
Let it flow.
At first, I was doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I thought I had to do, okay, I'm going to interview this person from start A to start Z.
Yeah.
But then I realized, we could just talk about a topic.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've done research, and I think the other thing too is like when you're uploading onto Apple Podcasts, there was just recently is where like I gave a talk at my old college, just like the student video production team or whatever, or club, and I was like, well, this is a cool hour-long talk, but it's not necessarily a number 23 podcast. Then I had to get over that OCD and be like, I don't care if it's interrupting the numbers. I'm uploading this onto that podcast thing too, because people should listen to it.
Yep.
And it got like one of the most plays on my Apple Podcast of all the episodes.
See?
And also thinking that you need to rely on someone. Some of my most popular episodes are solo episodes.
Yeah.
So there's so much, but yeah, I want to keep the art of the conversation. I'm still an absolute beginner at. I've learned so much from now. I can have a really good Uber driver conversation.
Yeah.
But I can only imagine what I'll be like after 200 episodes.
Yeah, and that's the thing where you're kind of going off of that. You just have to find out, what do you want that episode to be about? I knew when I was starting that I want it to be a story. I want to paint the full picture. I want to go through the childhood. I want to go through the college years. I want to go through how they got into everything. That doesn't mean that that's what, not you or in general, just people. That doesn't mean you have to go through the backstory. I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. You might be somebody that's like, this guest, I just want to get right into it. Gibson, let's just talk about videoing for an hour. Because I know that's what my audience wants. Whereas the guest that's coming next week, they might not care about it. I'm more curious to hear the backstory. So there's no wrong or right way to do that either. So it really is just going to come down to you. How do you want to treat the episodes? You know, what do you feel comfortable with talking about more? And then getting over that OCD. Because when I threw in that kicker for the first time, like 3 months ago, of like that BTS, I think it was like the BTS first was the first one. I was so nervous because I was like, man,
messing up.
People are gonna like be like, what are you doing? One right up, plays one up. And I was like, see, people just want to digest. They just want something within. I'm gonna make sure that the content always falls under this umbrella of what I'm trying to create, but I'm just gonna upload, and I think that's the best thing you can do is once you get past that one OCD of like, am I gonna disrupt it, and just having fun and trying to find how you want to carry the conversation.
Yeah. I've understood that people aren't paying as close attention as we are. Like,
nobody
cares.
Nobody
cares.
That's, I think if I ever start a new podcast, it's going to be called Nobody Cares, because nobody really cares at the end of the day. I have audio issues in post-production all the time.
Like
and I just like realize like, as long as 99% is good, you know, as long as it's listenable, nobody's listening for the fine details.
Yeah.
And I'll have these like 5 or 30-second hiccups every episode, and it stresses me out. I still haven't figured out the issue. But I'm like, you know what? Nobody cares. Nobody's DMing me like, yo, bro, fix it. Nobody really cares.
Fix your mic.
Yeah,
I got that.
It's like, I got you, bro.
I got that message.
Yeah.
Get a better microphone.
Yeah, tell them. Send me the money for it, bro. Where can people find you on social media? Your YouTube channel, the podcast? Lay it all on me.
So everything is at Justin Odisho, JustinOdisho. So, but you could best reach me on Instagram DM and subscribe on YouTube for new videos. And I'm also on Twitter. So, also you can go to my website, justinodisho.com for like I have all the links to everything.
The links are there.
And I have resources and stuff on my web shop too, like some free packs and some other packs. And I'm working on some packs while I'm down here. Going to get some film developed and doing some stuff. So, yeah, send me here's what I want you guys to do. Send me a message on Instagram if you listened all the way to this point. Send me a DM. Just let me know what you thought. Send Bobby a DM. I don't know if you like him.
If you're scared to listen, if you're scared to DM him, go on to one of his recent posts on his IG and just drop a couple bearded man emojis so they'll know I came from the podcast, but I don't want to DM you because I'm nervous.
Just say how you enjoyed it, or if there's a certain point that we brushed over and you want to know more about, hit me up. Because if you listen all the way to the end, you're an awesome person.
And if you think it was a waste of time, give us a thumbs down on it. But we appreciate the click, and we appreciate the time that you got this far.
No, if they listened all the way here, you're awesome.
If they did, then they're definitely awesome. Before the last question, thank you for coming in today, man. This has been pretty dope. This conversation has flowed. It's good getting other podcasters coming in because they just know how this game works, and there's really not that whole prep beforehand. Like, this is what a podcast is. This is how it goes. I'm gonna interview you, but we're gonna talk. It's like that whole weird experience. But also, like I was saying towards the beginning, I was pumped to get you in here also because I was just so curious to hear the tutorial world, because I think that is just a whole nother world of YouTube that some people, they don't really, we don't appreciate it as much as we should. Like, a lot of people watch YouTube for the entertainment, but we forget, like, there's this whole other world of creators that are teaching us things. You know, I could watch a Sam Colder video, get inspired, get entertained, but then I could watch something that you're creating. It's going to teach me something. So there's two different lanes, and they still add so much value. So I respect what you're doing. I want to see you crush it with the podcast. I want to see you keep crushing it. And I'm sure that the paths will cross again, and hopefully we'll be doing.
I gotta get you on mine,
please, any day.
Once I get the studio set up.
How about this? Move out to LA, and then I'll be the first guest for you, so you don't have to go looking for it.
I'm down.
So make the move to LA then.
I'm down.
Last question for you. What's the best 2 to 3 pieces of advice you give to somebody listening, trying to find a passion, trying to find a purpose, haven't figured it out yet? What do you say they do?
All right, so hopefully I say like I already kind of dropped them in the podcast, but just to recap. Whatever it is, that thing that you're doing, that just take a close look at what you're doing already, like your hobbies and whatever's. Just understand that now you have the internet and you can make a living. If you work really, really hard and you know this is what you want to do, you can make a living out of your passion or whatever that is. So don't have that weird separation in your head like I did. Like, here's all my school and real life stuff, and here's all my fun internet stuff that I do. There's no reason that you can't. So if nobody ever told you, I'm telling you right now, you can. And I guess another one that just goes into that is like, nobody really knows what they're doing more than you. Not to say don't listen to people. Take it, research, find advice, but just be careful of like where you're getting advice from, and look for positive examples. You want to do that thing, but you've never seen someone from your small town do it. Well, I'm sure if you really look, there's like some dude from your town that's done something. Use that as the example. And if there isn't, then maybe that has to be you. But yeah, that's it. Recap what I said from like an outside perspective. Could you recap it for me? Like, what did I say? I feel like I muddled it up.
No,
what did you get from it?
I agree completely. You got it. First of all, nobody has the answer. You have to have the answer for yourself.
Yeah.
And also, there's no separation. You can, like, there's not like, oh, this is just like the passion. This is how I have to make the money. Like, there is that middle ground that you can find that you could put your time and energy into.
Yeah.
But I think if people listen through this entire thing, there are more than enough gems that at the end of the day, I think every single podcast has the same thing or the same overall lesson that if you really want something, just do it. Shout out to Nike. We'll leave it there.
Thank you so
Justin
much.
Odisho,
Really
absolute pleasure, my man.
Thank you.
We'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you guys for listening.
See ya.